What happens when one of science fiction's most celebrated authors builds the foundation for an entire gaming universe? Peter F. Hamilton's Exodus is not just a prequel, it is a galaxy-spanning epic that sets the stage for something truly ambitious. Exodus, a novel by British science fiction author Peter F. Hamilton, spans 928 pages and was published recently in the year 2024. It marks the first installment in the Archimedes Engine series and also serves as a narrative prequel to the upcoming science fiction action-adventure role-playing game, also titled Exodus. At this stage, it appears that Hamilton plans to write 2 entries in this particular series. This novel lays the groundwork for the world and characters of the forthcoming game, which is being developed by Archetype Entertainment, a division of Wizards of the Coast. In that regard, it mirrors the approach taken with the Mass Effect franchise, which was also originally introduced through a prequel novel written by Drew Karpyshyn. Incidentally, Karpyshyn is involved in the development of the Exodus game alongside several other former BioWare veterans. The game is currently slated for release in 2026, and based on early promotional material including cinematic and gameplay trailers, it appears promising. Personally, it evokes the same sense of wonder and anticipation that surrounded the original Mass Effect trilogy. Whether Exodus can match that caliber remains to be seen. For now, however, any further assumptions would be speculative. This review will focus on Peter F. Hamilton's novel, which is already available for readers and serves as a rich entry point into this ambitious new science fiction universe. Millennia ago, as Earth faced extinction, humanity escaped aboard colossal arcships, scattering across the galaxy in search of a new beginning. One fleet eventually reached the Centauri cluster, a dense region rich with potentially habitable worlds. There, the weary travelers finally found refuge and signaled the remaining ships. Humanity had secured a future among the stars. Over thousands of years, the Centauri cluster blossomed into a thriving civilization. The first settlers evolved into a highly advanced race known as the Celestials, organizing themselves into powerful factions, called Dominions. Chief among them is the Crown Dominion, ruled by 5 great houses that dominate much of Centauri's territory. As new arcships continue to arrive, their passengers, descendants of old Earth, must struggle to survive or face subjugation under the Celestials' reign. One of those yearning for change is Finn. To him, Earth is nothing more than a distant legend. Raised under the strict rule of the Crown Dominion, he has never known freedom, but dreams of life beyond the stars persist in him. When a long-lost arcship from Earth resurfaces, Finn is thrust into a moment of history. Seizing the opportunity, he aspires to join the ranks of the Travelers, bold explorers who venture into the unknown, safeguarding the future of humanity across vast reaches of space. When it comes to world building, Hamilton's skill is on full display. He constructs a richly detailed universe, vividly portraying diverse human societies and the customs of the Celestials, beings whose norms and behaviors would appear utterly alien to any human originating from ancient Earth. The setting feels immersive and expansive, even if the narrative scope does not quite reach the extravagant scale of some other space operas, including Hamilton's own earlier epics. Still, it comes remarkably close. From the perspective of scientific realism, Exodus scores relatively high on the Mohs scale of science fiction hardness. In a notable shift, Hamilton adheres more strictly than usual to the constraints of physics, particularly the effects of time dilation and the limitations of sublight speed travel. These physical boundaries are not mere background details, they are central to the novel's plot and thematic structure. While certain technological advancements do occasionally push the edge of plausibility, they never stray too far. As a result, Exodus may well be one of Hamilton's most grounded and scientifically rigorous novels to date. This sense of realism might be partially or majoritarily influenced by the constraints imposed by the upcoming RPG. In fact, one could argue that the novel at times feels more akin to the work of Alistair Reynolds, who is known for weaving narratives that rarely, if ever, violate the laws of general relativity. In terms of originality and conceptual innovation, Exodus offers several intriguing ideas, most notably its depiction of humanity's long-term settlement of the Centauri cluster over thousands of years. The dynamic between the first wave of settlers, now evolved into the post-human Celestials, and the more recent arrivals, who remain baseline humans, is particularly thought-provoking. That said, Peter F. Hamilton has explored similar concepts in his previous works. The idea of humanity diverging into radically different factions or subspecies appears in the Void trilogy with the Hyers and Advancers, in the Night's Dawn trilogy with the Adamists and Edenists, and again to a lesser extent in the Salvation sequence. So while the themes may not be entirely new, Exodus does offer a fresh and compelling take on them nonetheless. Many of Hamilton's signature elements return here: intricate conspiracies, investigative threats, hidden identities, perilous expeditions, and a layered political intrigue. While none of these are groundbreaking in and of themselves, they are combined into a familiar yet engaging mix that draws from what has worked well in his past novels. The result is a synthesis of classic Hamilton tropes, reimagined in a setting tailored to the upcoming RPG. When it comes to character dynamics, Exodus features a reasonably large ensemble cast drawn from diverse cultural and biological backgrounds. The narrative shifts between perspectives, ranging from different celestial factions to newly arrived humans and so-called Uranics, who are located somewhere in between the two on the hierarchy. As is typical for Hamilton, these initially separate character arcs gradually begin to intersect and weave together into a broader, interconnected narrative. It is a storytelling structure that long-time readers will recognize and likely appreciate. In terms of critical reception, it is still somewhat early to draw firm conclusions. It remains to be seen whether Exodus will secure nominations for major literary awards in the science fiction sphere, or whether its status as a prequel to a science fiction role-playing game might lead to some hesitation among critics. For now, we will simply have to wait and observe how the literary community responds over time. As for popular reception, Exodus has been met with widespread enthusiasm. It currently holds an aggregated score of approximately 4.3 out of 5 stars across multiple review platforms based on thousands of reader ratings. This clearly indicates a strong and positive response from the broader science fiction readership. Overall, Exodus, both as the opening entry in the Archimedes Engine series and as a narrative prequel to the upcoming science fiction RPG of the same name, proved to be a captivating and rewarding read on its own right. It left me genuinely eager for the next installment, which unfortunately has yet to be released. That in itself is a strong indicator of the novel's impact and possibly the best endorsement. This is Peter F. Hamilton at the top of his game, albeit working within the constraints of more realistic physics and technology. That limitation brings a refreshing focus to the storytelling, marking a subtle yet notable departure from the more extravagant elements found in some of his earlier works. Despite the novel's considerable length, approaching 1,000 pages, it never feels bloated or meandering. The pacing remains reasonably tight and the narrative consistently engaging. The characters are for the most part relatable and well realized, their motivations are clearly defined, and they offer a range of perspectives that represent the different factions within the novel's universe. Their world building is, as expected from Hamilton, vast and ambitious. At times, this sheer scale can make it slightly challenging to visualize the spatial and political relationships between the different planets, systems, and cultures. However, this is a trait common to much of space opera, including Hamilton's own Void trilogy and Night's Dawn trilogy. In that regard, Exodus is entirely in line with genre conventions, and you should expect to be able to follow the intricate details at some point during the read. So, if you are a seasoned reader of sprawling space operas, or already a fan of Peter F. Hamilton's work, then Exodus is absolutely worth your time. Likewise, if you are looking forward to the release of the Exodus RPG, and want to immerse yourself in its lore and universe ahead of time, then this novel offers a compelling entry point that is already available. If you liked this video, you may also enjoy the other reviews and content on my channel. Feel free to leave a comment if you want to discuss the novels or if you want to suggest other books that I should review in the future. Please consider upvoting and subscribing, it is much appreciated. Thank you for watching, and until next time.